The journey of awareness, the conscious transformation, the increasing transformation of awareness is akin to a journey through a labyrinth, ascending to its source in the middle of the labyrinth. The original labyrinth, the Greek design for the labyrinth, had 7 sections. In effect, there are 7 dimensions through which awareness ascends as it returns to its source, as it breathes itself back into its source. And it's something like this. Initially, awareness realizes that it's in the physical world. It perceives the physical world around us. But then, when it starts to, let's say, hunger for a deeper realization of itself, it can realize that it is inside the physical body. It's not only inside the physical world, one dimension, it's now inside the dimension of the physical body. And then from there it can ascend further, it can deepen and heighten and expand, and awareness can realize it is inside the mind. It's now in this dimension of the mind, also conscious of the workings of the mind, of all our thoughts, all our emotions, all the machinations of the mind. So it's now inside the dimension of the world, it's inside the dimension of the physical body that's inside the world, and it's inside the dimension of the mind, which is inside both the physical body and inside the world. And this awareness is both inside these dimensions and outside of them. This is the meaning of the kingdom of heaven is within you and without you. And then awareness can go further and deeper and expand beyond the mind also. And now awareness can realize that there is this deeply embedded feeling of I inside the mind. And this awareness can realize that it is inside this feeling of I. It is deeper. It is beyond even this feeling of I. This feeling of I surrounds it, and surrounding this feeling of I is the mind, which is surrounded by the body, which is surrounded by the physical material universe. This is now a 4th dimension removed from the outside of the labyrinth. And then this awareness can go even farther, deepen and expand farther. And awareness can realize that it exists inside itself, inside awareness. It realizes itself as a dimension of awareness. It is not a thing. It is no longer a feeling of I. It is not an identity. It's not a self per se. It is a consciousness of awareness that is now even deeper and farther and more expanded than that feeling of I. And there's this realization on the part of awareness that it exists inside awareness, inside a realm, for lack of a better word, we can call awareness. Beyond this, there is you could call it the pure being from which awareness stems and from which awareness emanates. So it's now expanded even beyond that realm of awareness to this, Wang Po called it the place of precious things, this pure being out of which even awareness comes and unfolds. But then there's even beyond that, there's more. This pure being has an origin. It stems from something else. This pure being, which is at the root, you might say, of even awareness, at the heart of awareness. This pure being has an origin. And even beyond that, in the very middle of this labyrinth, which is like a black hole in the middle of the galaxy, and even beyond this origin of this pure being, there is the source of it. There is a source beyond, outside of, and inside of all of these other layers of this labyrinth, of all these worlds within worlds within worlds. It's noteworthy that as awareness moves from outside of this labyrinth, makes its way, makes its ascent, journeying through the labyrinth to the center, returning to its source, that it passes from more dense form to less and less dense form. The physical world, then the physical body, then the mind, then this feeling of I inside the mind, and then beyond that, this realization, which is a different realization of awareness, not as the self, although that does actually represent the true self, this realization beyond the feeling of I, that is cognizant of the feeling of I, and yet knows itself as something. As Nisargadatta said, you see the picture, but you are not the picture. And at first the picture is the outside world. And then awareness begins to realize it can see this picture, but it is not the picture. It is seeing it. It is witnessing the picture. Then the same thing happens with the body. It begins to realize it's not the body. The body is the picture. And now it's seeing the picture of the world and the picture of the body. And then it's seeing also the mind starts to become like a picture. It starts to see the mind. Awareness can see these thoughts coming and going. It can see emotions swirling around. Also in the mind, even though they have an effect on the body, they are principally generated in and affecting the mind. But they have become part of the picture. And what is seeing them is not the picture. And then the same with this feeling of I. The sense of I, deep at the sort of center of the mind and the emotions and even the body, is this feeling of I. And awareness, as it becomes more conscious as itself, begins to realize that's also part of the picture, this feeling of I. And this is where a vital threshold, a critical threshold is crossed into a very much deeper, higher dimension. And this could be said to be the true threshold of what is called self-realization, where awareness now knows itself to be something other than even this feeling of I, and the mind and the body and the world. And then beyond that, as it ascends further and deepens and expands, it does so in finer and finer, more rarefied, more what we would call silent, still presence with a deeper and deeper consciousness in higher and higher dimensions, which lead all the way to the center of this labyrinth, which the fourth way calls the ray of creation, and all the way to its absolute source.